Hey guys, welcome to Crazy Burger. So I might be about to do something that I could end up regret doing, but on my Evercade EXP Founders Edition I noticed an issue with my R1 button. So you can probably see here it doesn't actually click in anymore. It's kind of stuck down for some reason. It looks like either I've dropped it, which I don't remember doing, and it's probably broke inside here somewhere, but it's not clicking in at all, which obviously it should be like this and clicky, but you can see nothing's happening. There's no give in there at all, so something's either broken in there or it's became unseated or something. So I'm going to probably attempt something I really shouldn't do, but I've got some backup just in case I get stuck in the case of my white EXP or the original Evercade. So I'm going to try and see if I can fix it. If it's an easy fix, open up the device, have a look, see if I can fix it. Otherwise, who knows. Let's see what happens. Okay, so the first thing obviously you need to do to open the EXP up, there's 4 screws I think, there's, well, it might be more actually, there's 2 in the bottom here. You need to take these rubber thingies off, and 2 on each side, as you can see here, and 2 in the top. So we need to take these little rubber things out, unscrew the screws, and then get stuck in. So I guess we'll start at the top one, and just sort of try and pick this out. So that comes out easy enough, it's just a little rubber protector to hide that in, and it's basically a very small screw inside there. But I've got some tools here that I actually used for the Nintendo Switch to change some of the sort of thumbsticks and the Joy-Cons due to sort of stick drift. But yeah, not sure how this is going to go, but I'm going to give it a bash and see if I can actually do a quick easy fix. Otherwise, who knows. Okay, so that was generally the easy part. I've got all the screws out and it seems to have obviously unloosened a little bit, so I need to sort of pry this open slightly to try and get into it, obviously being as gentle as I possibly can, because I believe it's connected with ribbon somewhere. So try to connect this tool and we'll try and open it up somehow and get into it, being as gentle as I possibly can all the way around. Hopefully, unlike the original handheld, it's not actually glued together, which I don't think it is. Yeah, it's coming out off easy enough. Okay, so managed to open up. It was actually pretty easy to open up. It sort of unclicks eventually once you go all the way around, but need to be obviously careful. A lot of the buttons kind of all fell out as I sort of unopened it. As you can see here, all the sort of face buttons are all kind of out, and this is the actual sort of shoulder button that's got an issue with. I'm not entirely sure what the issue is. I need to have a closer look to try and figure out what is actually wrong. This one over here is still in. They really just sort of click in place like so. But yeah, I'll have a little bit of a closer look and see what's actually going on here. It doesn't seem to be connecting to the actual switch for some reason. You see, this one seems to be absolutely perfect. This one's a little bit short, so something's probably missing somewhere. Okay, so one of the good things is it certainly doesn't look like there's any actual damage to these sort of shoulder buttons at all. So having a look at them, they both look actually fine and identical. It just doesn't seem to be connecting properly to the actual switch, which is here. So all the screws actually came out absolutely fine, and also this is the internals. I'm not going to sort of mess about with any of this stuff too much longer. I guess that's the battery. That's obviously your screen that's connected. All the buttons have fell out, as I said, when I opened it up, which is fine. They just really sit back in. But that's really the internals. Kind of interesting. Be sort of tempting to change out these speakers, because I don't really feel the speakers are that great on the EXP. Not really sure why. Could be just my version. But I always felt that the speakers themselves are not the greatest at all. But that's the inside of the EXP. Pretty cool. I could obviously unfasten a lot of these circuit boards, but I really don't see the point. I'm really just concerned trying to get this shoulder button up here back working again, hopefully. I think I actually discovered what the actual issue is once I've sort of moved the unit about and had a good look at it. The issue is pretty obvious. If you look at this side, you can see there's clearly a gap between the actual button. Okay, this is the what is this, the right side. So if you look at this side, you can clearly see it's obviously sitting as if it's fell in somehow. I don't know why and why that would do that. That's probably why the sort of shoulder button isn't connecting the same way this one does. If you look, this one sits out a little bit. It's not sitting in, it's actually sitting out. And this one is kind of a sunk in. You can clearly, it's quite obvious when you look at it here, which is why the button isn't connecting, so not really sure why that would happen. Okay, probably in closer inspection, it's quite clear that the actual button itself has come unlodged a little bit, as you can see from the actual circuit board. So I don't know whether I need a little bit of glue to keep it in place, because obviously every time I press the button, it's moving the actual switch as well. So that's obviously the main issue, I guess. Not the fact that it's sunken in, which I don't think help. I think the design is not helping here, because the connection isn't quite as clean as the other side, on the left side or the right side. But yeah, the left button here is clearly with lodged the actual switch, meaning it's not going to connect. So I need to get a bit of glue on that, and then hopefully that will be sort of solid enough to put the switch back on, the sort of shoulder button back on. It should connect fine. So I'll give that a try and then see what happens. Okay, sometime later, I've went to the shop and got some super glue, because I don't think looking at it it's actually a solder issue. I think looking at it it's really just become unplaced from the actual circuit board. So a little bit of super glue maybe, and it should hopefully help. I think the design of this doesn't help at all, given the fact it's not, it's probably too far deep into the unit there. It's not like this side that kind of sits out a little bit. This one's probably too sunken into the unit, and that probably is creating the issue when you're pressing the button down. Either that or I dropped it, pressed too hard in frustration, I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to try and super glue it back into position, and then we'll see if it actually holds when I press the button. Okay, moment of truth. Obviously gave it about 10 minutes or so, and it seems pretty solid in place now. Even still clicks away, seems perfectly seated now in the device. So hopefully I can now put on the shoulder button, and it should hopefully start to click properly. As you can see here, obviously this one sits up quite nicely, and obviously you've got a clean connection, and this one kind of sits down slightly a little bit, which I think is probably one of the issues that's probably caused it. It's not really touching the sort of connections properly, and then it's maybe pushed it completely off. Just my idea, I might be completely wrong, but it definitely could be doing with sitting up slightly, I guess. Anyway, let's get the shoulder button on, let's see what happens. Okay, so let's get the shoulder button back on, hopefully make sure it's the right one. Yeah, that's the other side. I'll put that on in a little second. So this is the actual button. There's nothing wrong with it, it's not broken at all. It looks absolutely fine. So if I sort of place that down there, it just sits nice there. Oh, haha, it's clicking, and it wasn't doing that before. So that's a good sign, that's a good sign. So hopefully all I need to do now is really put this back together gently, and then hopefully that'll have sorted this issue. So a slightly different sound. I think it's just, you can see the connections aren't quite perfect. If I turn it around, you can probably see it a little bit better. You can probably just see a little bit better. See, this is the one that's sitting perfectly, whereas you can see there's a big gap, which is probably causing it to break slightly. It's now clicks, and it's obviously solid in place, but yeah, I definitely think there's a slight design problem there for me. That's just my opinion, I could be wrong, but I reckon that's probably not helped. So this will be fun, trying to figure out which buttons go where. I could have a laugh and maybe put them all in the wrong place, give myself some challenging games. That'll be interesting. So all we really need to do is put the buttons back in place in the right order, hopefully, and then connect all the screws back up, and we will be back in working order. So thankfully you can't actually put the buttons in the wrong sort of holes, because they're all kind of slightly different in design with these sort of notches, so you can't put the buttons in the wrong slots, which is great for me, because I was obviously a bit worried I'll probably mess up my A, B's, and X and Y's and make a complete mess when I put it back together. But thankfully that should be pretty straightforward to do. Just putting the finishing touches to this now, just clicking it back into place. Hopefully all the buttons are in the right place, which is good. So I just need to click it back into place, put the screws back on, and we should be good to go, I hope. Yeah, I hope. Okay, just putting the screws back on now. It actually clicked into place pretty straightforward, surprisingly pretty good. Just need to put these screws all back in, and I have to say that was actually a lot easier than I was expecting. I really wasn't expecting that to be straightforward. I thought it would probably be completely broken and unfixable, but glad to say it was actually a very simple fix. I think I've certainly got lucky there. Okay, so obviously I'll need to clean the screen a little bit, but everything's all back in position. All the buttons seem fine. D-pads and buttons all seem absolutely fine. Okay, so obviously the tester here is, do these buttons work fine? Yep, it now clicks in place. It sits up a little bit better, but you can see that that one definitely sits up, or sits down lower than this. It's less clicky, but they still work. Yep, now it actually clicks. Hopefully it's now connecting. I'll just need to be a little bit gentle, I guess, with that one. Okay guys, so I would call that a success. The L1 button is now clicky. Both buttons are fine. It doesn't seem to click quite as much as this one right over here. The left one seemed kinda more subdued, so to speak. But yeah, it's working absolutely fine. No issues at all. So guys, I would recommend not to do this with your device if you have one. I would probably contact Blaze and get them to check it out. But I thought this was an easy fix and worth having a look. But yeah, totally not recommend anyone doing this if you don't know what you're doing. But anyway guys, thanks very much for watching our video. I'll catch you again in the next one. Bye for now. Still crap at Street Fighter though. Oh, maybe not. Lucky.